Hi everybody, this is Michelle from Virtual Hand Care, and in this video, we're going to talk about what you can do for double jointed fingers. We're going to look at a couple of reasons why that might happen. Also, I'm going to talk to you about a test that you can try on yourself to test yourself for hypermobility. But more importantly, we're going to talk about what you can do for those double jointed fingers, because sometimes it can cause a lot of pain in your fingers and it can really start affecting your function. So I'm going to show you a few things that you can do for that. So let's get started. Okay, so when somebody says they have double jointed fingers, typically what they mean is they have more hypermobility in their fingers, or they have very loose finger joints. Typically it happens more in the PIP joints. You can have hypermobility or loose joints really anywhere. You can have it in your elbows, in your knees. You can even have it in your spine. Because it can happen elsewhere in your body, I'm really going to be more focusing on the fingers. What is happening is actually the capsules and the ligaments, the tissue that helps normally provide stability of a joint, become very loose. There's a couple of reasons for that. One reason I find is that perhaps somebody has had an old injury that didn't really get the proper treatment, and perhaps they needed to be splinted in a certain way, or maybe it needed to have surgery. Their finger was pulled backwards, whatever the case may be, but it didn't get the right treatment at the time, and so then the joint became very unstable. Now, that's more if somebody notices just like one or maybe two fingers, and it's more isolated than it could be from a previous injury. Now, other reasons why somebody might have double jointed fingers is because of autoimmune related, meaning there could be something more systemic going on throughout the whole entire body. This is commonly seen in people with rheumatoid arthritis or with EDS or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. However, with those type of conditions, it's very important to make sure that a doctor diagnoses you, because it's really truly hard to tell whether somebody just has some loose, hypermobile joints, or is the reason they have that because there's something a little bit more serious going on. Typically, with those type of autoimmune conditions, you will see double jointedness or hypermobility elsewhere in your body. You'll see it in your knees, in your spine, in your elbows, as well as you could even have more internal organ type of issues going on. So again, that's very important to make sure you do see a specialist for that. Now, another cause of double jointed fingers, it could be that it's just the way that you are. You look at gymnasts, look at dancers, acrobats. There are many, many, many people out there that are just very flexible, and they just have a lot more hypermobility in their joints. It doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. Now, I can understand though why you might be here, because if you do have double jointed fingers or a lot of hypermobility, there can come a time when it does start to cause some pain and could prevent you from doing activities that are important to you. It can start to affect your function. You may notice that the lack of stability in your fingers is not allowing you to hold a pencil for a long length of time or participate in hobbies such as painting or things like that. Okay, so how can you test yourself for hypermobility? Well, there is a Baton scale that is a 9-point scale, and it's based on several joints in the body. It looks at the small finger on each hand, the wrist and thumb on each hand, as well as both elbows, both knees, and your spine. And if you have hypermobility in all of those joints, then you would have a scale of 9 out of 9. Now, that doesn't mean that you have a serious condition. It just means you are very hypermobile, and perhaps you may then want to, again, go on to see a specialist just to make sure that there's not something underlying that is to be of concern. Now, because the bait and scale looks at everything, and in this video we are just talking more about double jointed fingers, we're just going to look at the first two parts of that bait and scale. So if you're interested in seeing the whole bait and scale and want me to make a video for that, do please comment below, and if I get enough people saying they're interested, then well, I'll get on that. So the first part of the bait and scale is you're going to place your hand flat on the table, and you're just going to take your other hand and you're going to lift your small finger up in as much hyperextension as you can. Now, if your finger can get pulled all the way back to where it's a 90-degree angle or more, then you would test positive for that and you would get a score. So you'd get 1 point for one hand, and then you would go ahead and do it on the other hand. And if you can go beyond 90 degrees with your small finger on your other hand, well, then you would get 2 points for that. Now, the second part of that bait and scale test is to look at the thumb and the wrist. And so to do that test, you would pull the thumb down and the wrist as far forward. And if you can touch your thumb to your forearm, that shows that you have hypermobility in the thumb and in the wrist, and well, you would get a score for that. And then you would do it on the other side. So again, other hand, pulling the thumb down. If you can touch thumb and forearm, and you know, don't push yourself just to see if you can do it, but if you can easily do that, then again, you would get a point for that. So if you could do it on the both small fingers were positive and both wrists and thumbs were positive, you would have 4 points, 4 out of 9 points already. So then of course the rest of that test looks at both elbows, both knees, and also looks at the spine, but we're not going to go into that today. Now, finally, what can you do about your double jointed fingers? Double jointed fingers or hypermobile fingers can really affect your function, and in fact, they can cause a lot of pain. So one of my first tips to help double jointed fingers is to use external stabilizers. So what do I mean by that? Basically, because you don't quite have that internal stabilizer of the ligaments and the joint capsule, those are very mobile and so they don't provide a lot of stability. Well, then we want to look on the outside by using rings or splints, braces. So things like oval 8s can really help when you have a joint that is very double jointed or hypermobile. In particular, a joint that goes into a lot of hyperextension. So an oval 8 can actually help prevent that joint from going into hyperextension. This can be really helpful when you are picking up items or pinching items or holding items for a long length of time. Another really helpful type of ring are silver ring splints. Now, usually that requires a therapist to measure you. The Silver Ring Splint Company is a wonderful company that has been around for years that can help make rings for somebody that needs that external support. Those are a great long-term solution. Now, oval 8s can also be used on the thumb as well, especially if you have any kind of instability in the thumb or notice a lot of hyperextension in that thumb, and perhaps that thumb is having a hard time holding onto a pen or a pencil or a paintbrush, whatever the case may be. Now, another really great external stabilizer is to use a thumb brace, and I really like using the Comfort Cool. This particular thumb brace provides a lot of support around the thumb. So if you feel that you have a lot of instability of the thumb, especially again when you are picking up items or holding on to pens or pencils or objects, then having an external stabilizer that's not too restrictive so that you can still move, but provides enough support around your whole entire thumb joint. And that's really why I like this Comfort Cool Splint for that. I have seen clients that have had to have, oval 8s over all their fingers, maybe even have a brace to their thumb, but they're able to use their hand, and it has really helped preserve their hand function, and it really has helped provide that stability so that they can do what they love to do without having that extra pain, or also without having their hand just fatigue out too quickly or get too tired because their hand can't stay in those positions for long lengths of time without having some kind of external support. Now, some other things to keep in mind that can be helpful are to use joint protection techniques. Basically, what that means is that instead of putting your hypermobile fingers, your double jointed fingers in those compromising positions, such as picking up bags with your fingers, you would want to use larger muscles. So I encourage you to kind of look at a couple of those normal daily activities that you might do where you use your hand, but kind of think about it a little differently and see, are there ways that you can actually use both hands to help support versus one hand? Or can you maybe use more of your bicep or your larger muscle groups, such as picking up grocery bags? All those types of little joint protection tips can really help add up over time. Now let's look at a few exercises that you can do for your double jointed fingers. So I want to emphasize that just because you have double jointed fingers or hypermobility in your fingers does not mean that your hand is weak. And in fact, if you ever get a chance to measure your grip strength, you might want to put that to the test and see. But there are definitely some exercises that you can do to try to help with some of the stability of the muscles that are inside the hand if you are experiencing some of that weakness. And the first exercise is a very simple isometric exercise to the first dorsal interossei of the hand. This is a common weak area in many people that have a rheumatoid arthritis or have other types of hypermobility conditions. So let's do that exercise together. So to strengthen the first dorsal interossei, if you bring your index out, this muscle right here should contract. And so that's what we're looking to do. So to do that exercise, you can either resist it with your other hand and hold for a couple of seconds and then relax. Or you can also use like a pen or a pencil, or you can push against the edge of a table, something like that, just to provide a little bit of resistance. And it doesn't have to be a heavy amount of resistance. So let's just do a couple of those together. 1, 2, 3, and relax. 1, 2, 3, and relax. And if your finger tries to go into some hyperextension, you could put an oval 8 on that finger just to truly work on stabilizing and strengthening this muscle and not allowing the finger to go into hyperextension. You can also put a small washcloth up underneath your hand if you feel that your finger continues to go into hyperextension. Now, another exercise I like to do is finding perhaps a sponge or a ball that is not very dense. I have a couple of different sponges that I really like. They have different types of densities. They come in different colors, and sometimes I cut them to do various pinching and gripping activities, but I really like these because they actually are more foam and they have a nice give. They're a great way to start working on strengthening without being too aggressive. So what you do for this next exercise, this works on isometrics for the finger and the thumb, but also it's going to work on what's called proprioception. And that is knowing where your fingers are in space, knowing where your joints are in space. Proprioception awareness is so important when it comes to hypermobility in your joints. It's very important for injury prevention because when you're more aware of the position of your fingers when they're holding something, then you're more likely to adjust that position, because you know if you maintain that position for a long time, that you might be hurting later. So it's very good for injury prevention, basically to prevent you from staying in bad positions for long lengths of time. And the more you stay out of those bad positions, then the less likely you are to have pain. So to do this next exercise, what you're gonna do is we're actually gonna work on pinching with the index and with the thumb. First, what you're gonna do is you're gonna actually go through to each finger and apply a little bit of a light pinch. So you're gonna go and just do a light pinch to each fingertip, straightening up after each one. But when you go into straightening, I don't want you to go all the way into that hyperextension to where you might get into that double jointedness. So you're going to pinch, and then when you release, you're gonna just release very lightly, and you're not gonna go into full extension. So again, you're just applying a little bit of resistance to the thumb and those fingers. And now what I want you to do is take that foam and you're gonna do the same thing. And now you're gonna see if that feels a little bit different. Now you're actually holding on to something. You don't wanna drop it, right? And so you're gonna go through and pinch to the index, then pinch to the middle finger, then pinch to the ring finger, and then pinch to the little finger. And you do want to make sure that those other fingers are nice and relaxed and they're not going up into that hyperextension. So we're focusing on just one finger at a time here. Pinch. And you can hold a second or two. But now what I want you to do, after you've done it without any foam and then you've done it with the foam, now I want you to do it with your eyes closed. And so then you're closing your eyes and you're just feeling those fingers lightly pinching through the foam. Understanding where the finger is on the foam, making sure that you're not going to drop it. Just feeling where on the foam that your finger is at. And you can just go through this a couple of times. So by having the eyes closed, that is really helping you focus more on that joint, those joint positions and where that hand is in space. So basically, the more of that you do, then the more you can become familiar with the position of your fingers when you're doing activities. So you would also want to do it on the other side. So again, going through, doing some light pinching. Then you would add a little bit of resistance to it. And it doesn't need to be a lot. Making sure you're trying to maintain good position with the thumb and the fingers, not allowing any of that collapsing to happen. If you do have an oval 8 or an external splint or brace, it would be good to have that on for this. And then of course you would want to do it with your eyes closed. See if you can feel the hand, feel it in the same position that you had with your eyes open. And that could take a little bit of time to get kind of used to that. You might feel like you're fumbling around with the foam, you might feel like you're dropping it, but again, it does take practice and understanding where those fingers are when you're holding things, when you're doing activities. When your mind is focused on the activity, it might not quite be focused on your hands and the position. So by intentionally working on how those fingers feel when they're moving, when they're holding on to something, how much resistance you apply to, making sure you're not applying too much resistance, just some nice and light and controlled resistance. But the more of those that you do, then the more stability your hands will feel when you're doing daily activities. Let me know in the comments below if this video helped you, and if you'd like to see more videos on hypermobility and double jointedness, do let me know in the comments below. Also, if you found this video helpful, do please give it a like, and also don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. And don't forget to check out these videos here that YouTube is suggesting for you. Thanks for watching.